So, hello again, and welcome to this fast motion picture because I did a lot, but I didn't have time to process it, and I didn't have also the time to record, so I will make a voiceover. So, now again, we're gonna do a double speed because it's about 1 hour and a half, the amount of footage I will post. I'm gonna do it double, so it's gonna be 30 minutes. I don't like making you long videos because I know they are difficult to watch. You can see now I am painting the legs of the Cryptek cloak with on the base, so it will be nice and black. Yeah, there is no problem because the base is black anyway, so I will kind of cover it with paint. That's the whole point, that I will cover it again. So the point is with this is that I just cover it with a very thin layer of brown black. It's generally very thin. I just cover it like a drip, and that's it. It will dry and hold to the surface. Now I'm applying Balthazar gold to the layers that I need. Later on I will use layers, but now I will just prime again. Priming again until I'm satisfied with the coverage, and then once it's done, it's gonna be looking nice. Uh, if you thin your paints really fine, you just have to wait longer for it to dry, and it will give a much better effect. That's why I'm applying really thin coats, many of them, and later on the effect will be much nicer. It will give a kind of radiant aura to the shades. So see, I'm quite thorough. Every part before I glue it together must be at least pre-painted, so later on when I make layers or edge highlights, this one will not be visible very well. That's the point, that deep color will be darker in the shade of the model, and lighter color will be more exposed to the sun. Once I glue it together, I will do the head, so stay tuned. So now I will go silent for a moment. So I finish up with this one, clean the paint. Now dry brush, I'm gonna use Necron compound on all the metal surfaces. Generally not the metal, the lead belcher surfaces, to give them kind of a shady look. The important with edge, with dry brush, is that you have to have a fixed stroke direction. The stroke direction actually matters. If you stroke from the surface, it kind of gives it a more round shape. Nick made a video on this. I'm not gonna expose the subject further, but just remember that the direction of the stroke matters. Okay, so that's it for the dry brush of the therapy cloak. Now for the model. The beauty of dry brush is that it doesn't expand too much. That means it's very thin always. But again, you need to be really thorough with cleaning and with dry brushing. Okay, that's it for the dry brush. Now we're gonna glue the legs. Actually, the cover. Just the less you use this, the quicker the bend. But remember also the weaker the bend. So something for something. This is not a proper plastic glue. Proper plastic glue holds better, but then again, it doesn't give you any liberty with the model. And if you're ever thinking about reselling them as pieces, then don't use. The super glue is not much better. You just freeze it in the refrigerator and it's done. It will break apart very easily as in your hands. And if I would buy pre-used models, this is the material I would like to use to work with from the previous owner. Again, we're gonna fit the legs now. There is a point that I did the legs last so that we kind of can move them away from the head, which was modified. Yeah, I still haven't figured out of how to convert it, but once I finish it, I will kind of finish the Cryptek series, how to make a Cryptek one by one, and then I'm gonna make the conversion Cryptek. So I'm gonna have two models of a Cryptek, and I'm gonna show them to you, and then we're gonna have hopefully a vote, all 10 users. I hope. Thank you very much for subscribing, but 10 is not a lot, but I really enjoy everybody who subscribes. So here is the finishing look. So hopefully all the users who are submitted will vote, so I can decide what to do later on with the Cryptek, which one to corrupt. So now we are using other paints. Again, I'm not very good, but you can see that the layer of the Caliban green is very thick, but this is actually very watered down, so it's like a droplet waiting for it to dry. And that's about it for a moment, for my talking at least. Smaller brushes for smaller edges. And I'm out for a moment again. So now I'm using a layer paint, Warpstone Glow, on every edge. Again, watered down quite nicely. I'm not gonna do a wet blend because it requires me to use actually three separate brushes to make the effect nice. Because if you use one brush, it will tend to mix the paint too much. So if you use three different brushes, and the paints must be in the exactly same state of thickness or similar, because they will otherwise mix improperly. You want in a condition very dry, very wet, then little more solid and more solid, so the blending will kind of decrease with the strength of the color. The very white must be very small dot but very thick. The last one must be the base must be very thin down, so the layer can kind of dissolve partly in it. I like the fine detail on these models. I really do. So every kind of rod thing will be Warpstone Glow, Mood Green, and Gauss Flare. Gauss Blaster Green, I think it's called the flare green. Yeah, I see the sharpness of the camera is terrible at this point. Well, the autofocus doesn't keep up with my hands, and I don't feel where's the lens yet, so please bear with me. I try to be cooperative. Hope you can bear with me. So now, after this, we are applying Gehenna Gold on all the bases, and later on Mood Green. Yeah, Mood Green will be thinned down, and I will drip it in all the edges. It will be just drip down. See, I water down the paint very, very fine, and just touch all the edges, the water will drip into them, so to make them sharper. I will probably buy at some point Hexwrite Flame or whatever it's called to give them the same effect as diluting the paint. And later on you can see I use a 000 brush, this one, or a 00 depending on the job I have. I'm gonna also use every kind of spiny thing, every disc between the. I'm gonna also highlight with this one. See, I dilute the paint, and even the edges on everything must be. The beauty of the diluted paint is that you can wash it off with a hand or a small tissue. So now that the daylight is gone, we're gonna use gluing. We're gonna glue the head inside and all the finer details together, so the model will start to look more or less what we want it to look like. A dab of super glue here, a dab of super glue there, and later on once the model is glued together, we will be washing it with washes. Again, it's important to put some on the edges. Super glue binds better if the surface is applied dual side, not only one sided, because of the properties of the glue when it's drying. So it is better to put just a dab on one side and just a dab on the other. The less you do, the better it will be, because it will be halfly dry, and then it will like glue the glue together, so the crystalline, never mind, just it will just work better. I'm not gonna go into finer details. So we will start washing with some Null oil. See, this is the point that we don't apply too much color, just like a priming and basing. Anyway, the main surfaces, not the edges will stay, but the flat surfaces will be totally covered by the wash. So if you did a moderate job covering them, it will kind of tune out the mistakes, because the layer of wash will cover the mistakes, and it will give a nice effect later on. So we're about to work with the head. 000 brush on the eye and on the surfaces under. Lead belcher and iron breaker, because the dry brush at this point will ruin the paint job on this beardy thing he has. So I prefer to have more control. That's why I will use 000. And then we're gonna wash it after that. So generally Small strokes, and also I'm gonna make the head a little bit coppery because that's my style. I like the copper look, coppery bronze look on them. I want to speak especially for all my subscribers. I really enjoy that we have support with each other. And as always, I would like to thank the community for support. Thanks for watching and for the support. And stay tuned.